So now we gotta set this bad boy up for rendering. So come back out here. First thing we're gonna need is a ground plane. So I'm gonna say, take this, rotate it so that it's kind of facing the camera, like it's some cool 80s thing with a grid on the ground. I'm gonna say, as we often do in these lessons, we're just gonna grab the back row. So I'm in point selection mode, grab this, just bring it up, and make the grid actually be a NURBS thing, so just get a nice easy curved thing like that. Coming back here, let's just tweak it so that it's in the right spot. I'm going to choose a later frame so that we can, I want to make sure that we are not interfering. Let's actually find the lowest part that the pig gets to. There we go. And we'll put it below that. Something like that. Cool. It also looks like it's, we'll make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So that it reaches the sides of the screen. Cool. Awesome. Nope. Hope you didn't hear that. That was my phone. So there you go. So now we have a nice background. That'll be cool. And now I'm going to start to call these things RNDR. These are going to be the things that get rendered. So I said pretty much everything up until now is not going to be rendered. And that's because what I mean is, as I often mean in these lessons, I'm not going to render those nodes. I'm going to make new final nodes for each one. So render liquid interior, or let's say exterior. So-called the surface of the liquid. So what do I mean? I want to go get, in here, the object merge, go to the thing we just made, and the output area, the out. You can always do into this object if you want to be sure. So now we're not going to accidentally render something else. Like if I clicked this here, and I left this on as the result of the output node, I don't want that. In fact, I can just prove it to you by keeping it selected on there, like that. But this exterior asks specifically for the out. So if this is what's going to render, we're always going to render the right node. Interestingly, the interior is the same. The interior will be rendered as a volume, and the volume will be defined by anything that's inside of these polygons. It's a shader specifically we're about to put on it that will do that for us. You'll see what I mean. We get the background, exterior, the interior. What else do we need? We need the pig head. So all we need to do from that is, like we've done so many times, object merge, go to the pig, out, definitely need to do into this object here, and there you go. So these will be the things that are rendered. And you can see them all together now. Nice. So now that we have them, let's set up our mantra node. So hover here in the out area, type mantra. We already have the camera looking in the right spot. We want to render a frame range. 196 is good. I like to rename all this whole thing to job, meaning again our current project, a render directory, cool render dot version 0 dot the frame number dot exr. So there you go. I guess I could put, I always kind of forget to do this. People like this F4 thing that will pad whatever your frame is to 4 digits. So instead of it just being .65 like mine currently is, you can have a, 0065. I guess that's a little more professional looking, which is why I don't do it, but I'll do it for you. There. So again, F4. Lovely. So here in the objects tab, we always turn this, get rid of this star for candidate objects. We don't want to just render whatever happens to be turned on. That's what that means. Candidates like, hey, who wants to get rendered? If you're on, I'll render you. If you're not, I won't. Force objects should just be anything with that RNDR prefix. Easy. If you want to check your work, click this. You'll see that they're highlighted. So that's cool. What else we need to do while we're here? We need to turn on motion blur. We need to turn on physically based rendering. We want to turn down the number of max ray samples because your computer is probably not the fastest computer in the world. So turn it down to 4. You can turn noise level up also if you want to have it render faster. Maybe it has like a first pass or something. So I'm going to do that. I'll turn it up to 0.05 or something. And that's probably fine. You can turn sample lock on also, seeing as the camera's not moving. It'll basically, all the little grain pattern you get from there not being enough samples, it will at least be, the grain pattern will be in the same spot on every frame, so it'll make it a little bit less noticeable. We can make an HQ mode too, where we turn a lot of that stuff off. These are takes, you might recall from earlier lessons, are a group of overrides that you can have on here. So I can say in HQ mode, go back to the full amount of max ray samples. Certainly in HQ mode, we don't want it to be noisy, so reduce this back to the default also. And sample lock can also go away. So all those things we just turned on, turn them back off in the HQ mode. But we always want to work in the lower res regular area. So when we're ready, we can just swap to this and render. Let's get rid of this competing mantra node over here. It's confusing. So we can always click render to disk from HQ mode, or you can change it to HQ here whenever you want to apply the high resolution settings. But we don't want to do that at first. So I'm going to save that. Good. Seeing as we just turned on motion blur there, let's also turn it on our various nodes. These ones, the ones that are actually moving. Go to select them all, go to velocity blur, like so. The pig head itself, let's see, does this actually have a velocity vector? It doesn't. So what we can do here is, I'm just going to add it now. We could actually grab it at the output of the collider when we set that up earlier. If you recall, that calculated velocity for us, but this is pretty trivial. So now we have it again. So this is the velocity visualizer. Great. So now we have it there. So we have it everywhere. So we could right now, we need lights. One more thing. And we're not going to think about lights. Actually, no, we should think about lights a little bit harder. That's enough for this chapter. Next chapter, lights.